What's up, guys? Another edition of the soccer family. I got the guys on right now. Fellas, introduce yourselves.
M. We got M straight out of Jamaica. Got to represent, and Manchester United.
Where's the Manchester? Are you in the jersey? No, is that a PPA
I'm
jersey?
repping PPA today.
Oh, okay, no problem.
PPA today.
It's one of the local clubs in the area. Ryan. Buddy. It's always one guy on mute. Bazzi.
What's up, guys? Bazzi here. Lucky to be back again. I'm happy to be with you fellas. Let's get it.
Excellent. Ryan. All right, Ryan left us. He'll surely join us back. So, guys, football is back officially. We had La Liga start off this weekend with a few games. Barcelona beat Mallorca 4-0. Some of the results. Levante beat Valladolid 2-1. Celta Vigo lost to Villarreal 1-0. Espanyol beat Alves 2-0. Espanyol is in relegation zone, so that was a big game for them. A big game, Athletic and Atletico and Club Atletico tied. Real Madrid beat Eibar 3-1, and Real Sociedad tied Osasuna 1-1. What I want to get to is, Barcelona, another 4-0 victory. They, starting right back off, where they left. Ryan, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts on the Barcelona Mallorca game?
Can you hear me, first of all?
I can.
All right. First of all, I would like to say that Messi without the beard looks a lot older. You can see, I had no idea Messi had aged that much. Messi cut the beard during COVID. He came out, and I was like, "Damn, is that Messi?" I remember when Gucci Man came out, and they had we weren't sure when Gucci Man came out of prison, and we weren't sure if that was Gucci or his doppelganger. Yeah, I was like, "Yo, that can't be Messi." But anyways, although Messi didn't have his greatest game, Barcelona looked just as dominant as they always are. Vidal, in our group chat, you mentioned how Vidal is probably one of the most underrated players in the last few years. He had an excellent game. And it was business as usual from Barcelona. Those guys were on top of every ball. Without the fans, they look just as motivated without the fans as they do with the fans, and just as dominant. But that's what we expect from the teams at the top of their leagues, So I was impressed by Barcelona. I like what I saw, but it's business as usual in La Liga, man. Barcelona thrashes another team,
And we talk about Barcelona dominating this match. Something that was vital in their game was Barcelona, I believe, scored in the first minute of the game. Do you think Barcelona can keep this momentum going?
Barcelona is Barcelona, so it's always going to be the top two: Real Madrid, Barcelona, and everybody else. The momentum that they started off on a good foot with this win. Messi, to me, I don't think he looked older. I think he looked like he was 18 all over again. So I'm not really sure.
I agree with that.
But I just wanted to disagree with you on that one, just to get it off real quick. But yeah, Barcelona actually they look like they have the potential to keep the momentum going. I don't think they have a lot of opposition in their way. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, now that we're no longer paying that much attention to Bundesliga because Bayern Munich already went away with that one. We're hoping for them to stumble at some point to make it a little bit more interesting. But I think they're going to come away with this one.
Okay. Interesting point. I also thought he looked younger, and I thought he got more fit. He looked. I don't know if once you get rid of your beard, you look more fit. But the guy looked more fit, and I figured guys like him aren't doing home trainings. You know what I'm saying?
That's pretty wild that you guys thought that, man.
I'm surprised
you guys thought that.
His face might have looked like like maybe a little older, like an older guy that shaved, but his physique looked very strong. So I was impressed by that.
Okay.
Bazzi, so Messi, he scored, and I think he had 2 assists. He's the first player in La Liga history, or pretty much any history, with 12 consecutive seasons with 20-plus goals. Is it fair to say that he's the best player that La Liga has ever seen?
Absolutely. I mean, Messi always gets that flack, with the whole World Cup and winning. But when it comes to, club football, I don't think La Liga has ever seen a player like Messi. And it's going to take a long time before we see somebody that can mimic what he does, Even at his worst, at his bad game, he will still score a goal. You know what I mean? And it's always been like that. Like, even if you see Messi saying he's not up to par, he had a bad game, he would either have an assist or a goal. So he's a very important player to just world football in general, and it's amazing to see those guys back. Shout out to Martin Braithwaite, the new Barcelona forward.
Didn't he have a brace? He had a brace.
Shout out to him. He scored a goal.
He scored a goal.
I thought he had 2. Did he have 2 or 1?
What's his name?
He had 1, and Messi had 1.
Yeah, he scored the second goal. Vidal scored the
had
first.
1, and Jordi Alba had 1, I think.
Yeah.
Vidal had the header.
Yeah. Messi gave the assist to Braithwaite. Is that his name?
Yeah. I like that guy. I like the Cinderella story.
He's got a story. I'll let you go further on that guy's story, man.
Yeah, I mean, they snatched him up because they had that whole situation where they needed somebody to come in. And it's really impressive to see how Barcelona scouts work. They would go and find a player that we absolutely know nothing about that would just come in and fit right in. That's excellent scouting. To go get a guy like that to join a team like that with that much stars and still do his thing. You know what I mean? And he makes good runs, great runs.
The one thing I will add to Bazzi's point is the fact, when I kind of against them, they've been terrible at recruiting this far. Prince Boateng they signed. There's a few other guys that was like swing and a miss. But it looks like they got this one down. So staying
I was about to say, like, how can you say that their scouting has been great and they continue us on loan and looking to sell Dembele, like, so
no. What I'm saying is when it comes to like a guy like that was unknown, that's crazy. You know what I mean? To go for Barcelona to go get a player like that, that's not a big player, that's unknown, to bring him in. And because I'm thinking, I never understood why they got him. I really didn't understand. I didn't even know who he was. As much as I know players, I had no idea who the guy was.
If you remember, they did it unfairly. They went after this guy after the transfer window had already closed. And you remember, this team ended up losing a player after the transfer window had closed. But that's another conversation for another.
And they needed him.
It wasn't unfair. It wasn't something that was unfair. It was within the rules of the La Liga.
It wasn't within the rules. They obstructed the rules.
It was within the rules, but it's to a point where it's disappointing because the team is now going to get relegated for sure because they have lost now what they consider to be their best striker. And also, anybody that if you put Chatayut next to Messi, Chatayut is going to be great. Like, how are we acting like he's not now playing alongside the best player in the world?
To M's point, I think he had 1 season where he scored 24 goals, and that was last season. So they signed him based off of that. Before that, he was on multiple loans and things like that. So it's nice to see a player come into his own, whether at Barcelona or Mallorca, wherever he was at last year. Transitioning into the second team in La Liga, Real Madrid, they got a 3-1 victory yesterday. They didn't really have a great second half, but the first half, again, we talk about Barcelona and early goals. Madrid scored in the first, I think, 3 minutes. What was it? The German boy hit a one-timer upper 90. That was a fantastic goal. Zidane came out after the game and said he wasn't pleased with the performance. So my question to you guys is, first, what did you think about the performance? And second, what does Madrid have to do to catch Barcelona? I'll start it off with M.
All right, so that Marcelo goal was amazing. It's been a while since I've seen somebody hit the ball that sweet. Like the way how he hit it, it was a nice hit. So with regards to the way how they played in the second half, I'm not sure what Zidane kind of expected. He made a lot of substitutions in the second half that kind of the quality of play fell to the point where they were already in cruise control. You know, they already had control of the game. But I think it's one of those things where he knew that the quality of the play would go down. The game was already won, but he wanted to still, you still have to give those guys a reason to want to be better. So I think they're gonna give Barcelona a good run. I see here that they're playing. They got Valencia, Real Sociedad, Mallorca, Espanyol, Getafe. So really, from what I'm looking at their schedule now, the only hurdle that they have is, I would say, Valencia and Villarreal. So besides that, they should, if they're hungry enough, they can give Barcelona a run for their money. But like I said, I think Barcelona is going to come out on top because the young old Messi.
Great take. So the one thing with Madrid this season and watching them, a problem that they've had, they would like beat a Barcelona in a Clásico and then lose to a Getafe or another team. So their consistency has been a problem. Alo, how do you think they're going to maintain that? And why do you think that Zidane was so open to going against his players and saying that he wasn't pleased with the performance?
Basically, I feel like with this season, as you just mentioned, they beat Barcelona, but then they'll go lose to those other teams. Even if they win all their games, I feel like Barcelona's going to win all their games. There's not going to be another Clásico, so it's over. I don't see Barcelona falling off to anybody. Let's just being realistic. You know what I mean? I do want to give a shout out to Hazard. I don't know if anybody noticed, but he looks really fit. And he seems like he's bringing his sparks is coming back, you know, with the dribbling, and I think he had an assist, a couple of good shots, but I like where they're heading, and but I don't think they're gonna surpass Barcelona. I think Barcelona's gonna take this one.
Excellent. I agree. Hazard played really, really well in the game, and he looks fit. He looks like he's motivated. Ryan, I know you've been critical of Hazard in the past. What did you make of his performance, and what do you think he has to do in order to prove himself to the Madristas? Because Hazard is not a guy that's going to give you 20 goals. That's not his forte. But in La Liga, I feel like he might be. The defense might be set for him to do that. So, what are your thoughts on Hazard and his performance?
I thought his performance was solid, man, and I'm happy to see that he's back at it, and he's one of the guys. Last week during the podcast, we asked this question was in reference to the Premier League teams. Like how do we think the COVID-19 pandemic has benefited your club? And this, for Hazard, what I mean, like it has given them a chance to get fit because we saw during the season he just looked like he wasn't himself, and who knows, like these guys may have injuries that we don't know about. But in this game, he looked to be back to, his old ways. So, he still has a window. He's still in his prime. It would be good for football, although I'm not a Hazard or a Madrid fan. I'm a fan of football. It'd be good to see him to continue this run of form. To win over the Madristas, we've seen those guys boo Ronaldo. You know what I mean? So Zidane himself, who's currently the manager at Real, he wasn't a big goal scorer, but he gave you an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 performance every single match. So if you can do that without being a goal scorer, which we saw the current manager Zidane do during this time, then I feel like he can get the Madridistas on his side. But we know Hazard is not this 30 goal a season goal scorer that Ronaldo and Messi are, but he does have some qualities where he can take over matches. So if we can see that from him, I'm sure the Madridistas will get behind him the same way the Chelsea-istas got behind him when he was at Chelsea, innit?
How dare you call us Istas?
The quality, the quality that Hazard have though, we can't act like he's he's a world-class player. I hope KG will hear me when I say that. But Hazard is definitely considered to me to be a world-class player. But he's always known to start the preseason off fat, and then he starts weighing out as the season progresses. And how many seasons has he been at Real Madrid? He's been at Real Madrid. This is probably, I think, his first season. So just like how every other player at some point needs time, like let's give Hazard some time to kind of acclimatize. He got the opportunity, as opposed to getting bashed from the beginning of the season all the way through, he got a little COVID relief where he could actually stay home and get himself together. And then now that they're back to playing, I think the 3 weeks that he was off, it's pretty much like during the season, he was getting better, right? And then the COVID hit, and then the start of the new season, let's call it that. I think he's gonna be world class all the way through the end, I think.
Well, with the 150 million price tag, you have no choice. You have to be. He's the most expensive player in their history, right? I think he's the most expensive player in their history, and to have that tag as a Madrid player, something else. So let's hope he lives up to that.
Manchester United has Sanchez for I don't even know how much million, and he's poo-pooing everywhere that he goes. So I think the price tag is a little bit. Sometimes I think it's inflated a little bit too much.
I'll give you a great. Go ahead, Ryan.
Now, before you transition, I don't want you to forget your point, but I just want to throw this in there real quick. While we're on Madrid, last week we brought up Newcastle, so I want to just, Newcastle, if you're listening, Gareth Bale would be a great signing for you guys. And Madrid, if you're listening, free Gareth Bale. This is your opportunity. You got some guys over in England with a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? We would like to see some of our guys come back to England. You know what I mean? So free. This is a free Gareth Bale campaign. Free Gareth Bale.
All the money
Gareth Bale.
So
Ryan, you're not satisfied with finishing sixth. You want us to go an extra down once we guys start winning games. What's wrong with you?
The guys recruiting players in the EPL
for other teams to beat us.
No, so with Gareth Bale, with Madrid, you want to talk about scouting. Madrid found Casemiro, they found Marcelo, they found Rodri, they got all. It's like a plant in Brazil where they're just picking these top talents. Rodri, who started over Gareth Bale, and Isco, he's going to be a top player. Because one thing these young Brazilian guys have is confidence. They don't really care about the moment. They just play. And so I was very impressed by him. But I think Gareth Bale I think this will be his last season. It's just that he's under contract, and there's not that many clubs that will pay him $300 a week to play golf.
Gareth Bale is I feel like he's the most content player right now. Like the guy is absolutely come and said how much he loves lifestyle in Madrid. His paycheck is great, and he's won a couple of Champions League. He's
living the life.
30. I mean, honestly, as he comes across as a guy that's not that ambitious, not saying he's not ambitious, but he's not to the point where I see him coming back to freaking Tyne Town in Newcastle. You know what I mean? Just because, and then got to deal with that whole regrouping and growing, because Newcastle's not going to be good right away. They're probably going to be good by the time he's leaving. You know what I mean? So you got to put.
You can't waste his prime years at Newcastle. All right, moving on to another big team in La Liga is Atletico Madrid. They tied Club Athletic 1-1, and a typical Simeone performance where there wasn't much into the match. So my question to you, Bazi, is Atletico Madrid, built a new stadium, the Wanda Metropolitano, and it's a big bill. So over, I think, 300 million, or a little under 300 million to build. So they have their expenses are high right now. So they have to make Champions League. What do you think are the circumstances after COVID of clubs that spent big on whether it's a stadium or just being financially irresponsible, and how they're going to deal with the coming times if they don't qualify for Champions League? And even if they qualify for Champions League, there's no fans, right?
Oh.
Next season, there's probably not going to be fans. So there's going to be some financial hardship. How do you think they're going to deal? And is it going to impact them in selling players? So it's like a kind of a threefold question.
I mean, yeah, it's just like you said, and those are those are things that a lot of people haven't even thought about, you know, like the future effect of a lot of these teams. But like you say, they're gonna have to deal. You know how? We don't know. They're just gonna have to figure it out. You know, whether
Do
it's
you think they're gonna have
going
to
into
sell
the youth
players?
program. Yeah, I feel like Atletico, they're probably gonna dig into their youth system and try to take it more seriously or whatever it is, and try to keep the guys that they have now happy. You know, and not try, because one of the things I feel like, what's his name, the Ghanaian boy. If they let that guy know,
Thomas.
Thomas, if they let Thomas go, they're in trouble. You know, I feel like guys like Thomas, you got to keep them. You know, those are the core. Those are the guys on the squad that you have to keep. I feel bad for the lower teams. I feel like they're going to struggle a lot. A lot of the teams that depend solely on ticket sales. You know what I mean? They're going to struggle a lot. And so I don't know if that's why I have a problem with a lot of teams and players that are saying they didn't want to take a pay cut, because it goes beyond just your players. You know, people got to eat. You know, the club has to survive. You have to have that type of mentality of helping. You know, so it's going to be tough, man. COVID is going to affect us for a long time. But everybody's going to have to figure it out within to figure something out. You know,
So
to get afloat.
Nahom, I heard you mentioned that the La Liga is not going to have fans until next year. I think I read an article where they were saying that they're actually trying to get fans in the stadiums before this season is over. So I don't know if it's going to be some type of social distancing stadium situation. I don't know how that part is going to work, but I did read that somewhere. But as it relates to Atletico Madrid, everybody is going to be I don't think we're really going to feel the impact or see the impact until the new season starts, because the transfer window is going to get affected, because you can't be going around spending $100 million to get players when you're short staffed. You know what I mean? Or there is a scenario here where you can't afford now to be paying Costa all this money that even though he's a proven goal scorer, he's scored the only goal for Atletico this weekend. But like now when he leaves, where's your goals going to be coming from? They have their defensive-minded team. They only play on the counter. Is Simeone still going to be getting that kind of money? You know what I mean? So like all these questions need to be answered. And with the fact that they're not going to, it's highly likely that they won't make it to Champions League. It's going to be tough for Atletico. That's the bottom line. The stadiums, like, you're not going to be getting that income that they expected from the stadiums. And I also think, Basi, that we're always trying to make the players the scapegoat, because governments are saying, hey, we need players should donate their money. Why don't the stadium can donate their money? Like, there's all these, somebody has to get blamed and somebody has to feel the brunt of it. And I don't believe we will see that until the ending of the season.
Hey, M, can you do me a favor and text B and tell him to hop off, because I think he's accidentally on. That's the noise of the kids and everything else. Just do me that favor. Ryan, so Ryan, you're the first, I'll give you credit. You're one of the first guys that said that this bubble of paying a ton of money in the transfer window and wages is going to burst one day. And it looks like COVID is bursting that bubble for a lot of clubs, not just Atletico, but Barcelona's in huge financial crisis as well, because of their high player wages. So what do you think moving forward clubs are going to have to do? Is it sell off players? But on the back end, they have to remain competitive, right? Because this COVID thing's not going to last forever. So what do you think some things that clubs can do to kind of manage the costs?
Man, they're going to have to. So let me just give you a quick analogy real quick. So what clubs are going to have to do is renovations, right? So this past weekend, I went to a bar for the first time, right? A bar that I enjoy going to. It's a local bar. And a lot of bars, a lot of restaurants were able to get what we call here in the United States, they were able to get some type of small business loans through the pandemic. So you walk into this place and you would think that, it's going to look exactly how it looked when you went there last time. But in fact, these guys renovated. There's new flooring. There's new bar tops. I can plug my phone now into where I'm sitting at. I can plug my phone in. So what they did was they took the money that the government gave them. They took a loan and they renovated the whole thing. You come in now, and I'm sitting here. There's plexiglass here, plexiglass there, plexiglass there, plexiglass there. So they have actually took loans out and put that into the bar. I think clubs will do the same things. They're going to renovate, man. You got to right now it's a time for clubs to take a step back. You know what I'm saying? And revisit their spending, sell off players. This could give you an excuse to get rid of a guy like, as an Arsenal fan, Mesut Ozil. You see what I'm saying? So it allows everybody to go ahead and start the renovation process. So in Spain specifically, the TV money is not shared equally, right? As opposed to in England, all the clubs get the same amount of TV money. Barcelona, Real Madrid, they get the two highest amount of TV money. Atletico being third. So in reference to that, I think they'll financially, these guys we will see them recover. What you have to be worried about more so is the leagues themselves. For example, France canceled their league. You see what I'm saying? Will that league be able to recover from that? Okay, from the money they're going to lose from their TV deals. But I think the individual clubs, these guys will take out loans from their banks. The Bank of Spain or whoever it is, and they'll renovate. If they have to sell a player, they'll sell a player. But we have seen, right, just within the club that most of us follow the most with England, Chelsea just bought Timo. You know what I'm saying? Like Chelsea bought what's the name? Ziyech?
Yeah, Hakim Ziyech.
Hakim Ziyech. You see what I'm saying? Teams are renovating. They're not the bigger teams, right? They're not talking about, not spending money. So I think Atletico Madrid will be okay. All right.
So I think that one way that clubs can actually come out of this on top is, let's take a leaf out of Manchester United's book and bring forward their academy players. Okay, Manchester United, we have Rashford, we have Paul Pogba, we have, I think Sauce is coming out.
Paul Pogba, boy, he cost you 90 million.
Paul Pogba came out of the Manchester United academy.
No, he did not. Not anymore.
Terrible example.
He's the most expensive player in your history.
Terrible example.
Went to Juventus, and then after that,
bought him again for 90 million.
After that, we bought him back for 90 million. So what is he a Manchester United academy product?
That's a terrible example.
Yes, he is, but he's your most expensive player, in your history.
That's fine. No problem with that. But basically, what I'm saying,
that's kind of like what
pulling out of the academy players is basically my point. Like, we have Mason Greenwood, right? We have Brandon Williams. We have who else do we have? Like, we have all these.
Isn't Gallo from the academy of Manchester United Nigerian Federation?
He's in his mind. He's from the academy. But even Henderson from he's on loan. I don't remember the goalkeeper that's on loan. We can even get rid of De Gea and bring Henderson in.
Yeah, at Sheffield. Also, so you think just bringing up youth players like United, Chelsea, so on and so forth are the proper way to go in transfer window.
And they actually have I think the fact that they now have 5 substitutions, like 5 subs are coming in, it's paving the way for them to actually get that opportunity to get exposed. You know what I mean? So sometimes we look at the negative part of COVID. Sometimes you got to look at the positive.
Indeed. All right, fellas, that was great stuff in terms of La Liga.
Good point.
I quickly wanted to hit Copa, not Serie A, but the Italian Cup, Coppa d'Italia. AC Milan tied Juventus 1-1. 0-0. Cristiano missed a penalty, and it wasn't a handball. So football god spoke to us. And then Napoli tied. I believe, who did Napoli play? Inter 1-1. So the Napoli goes on away points. So the final will be Napoli and Juventus. Ryan, what are your thoughts on that final?
Okay, first let me just get back to that crazy sequence of events on the penalty and then the red card. Like that was insane. But, as a football fan, as a neutral fan, I enjoyed watching Cristiano actually miss a PK. I don't think I remember a time where CR7 missed a PK. So maybe we can say he's starting to age a little bit. You know what I mean? That's probably going a little bit too far with it.
It is. It is.
I
I'll
mean, it
correct
just
you.
shows the
But
guy is human, man. You know,
yeah,
as
I
dominant
was
as he
like,
is, he's human.
and then the red card right after that was insane. But you're right.
Within 1 minute that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it was right after the PK. It was hit the post, ball gets cleared out, guy pretty much like drop kicks,
The young.
the other, and then red card happens. So, but I think that makes for a great final. We get to see the storyline is there. Sorry, up against his old club Napoli. Those are the last couple years. Juventus and Napoli have been the top two teams in the Serie A. So I think it makes for a great final. I'm happy I'm excited to see it, and I'm not I don't really watch a whole lot of Italian football, but I am going to tune into that final.
I like
So
that.
a little history lesson about Napoli and Juventus. Napoli is like, I believe, I think it's more southern, and so they hate Juventus and their fans because it's like a whole political thing. So the fans will be up for it for sure. Bazzi, what is Dries Mertens just became the highest leading scorer for Napoli. He passed Hamsik's record. What are your thoughts on Dries Mertens? Do you think he's underrated?
No, I don't think he's underrated. I think that the fact that he's been at that club for so long is why people are looking at it like maybe he's underrated. But I think it's been more of a personal situation for him, as if like he was happy where he's at. They play in the Champions League. He's a big player. He doesn't want to go. It's a kind of risk, where am I going to go? How is it going to end up? So I guess those are the kind of questions when people don't understand. They just look at it like, oh, why is he still over there? He could be a Real Madrid. But I think he's right where he's at. He's rated. People who know football like you guys know he's a good player. His record shows for himself. He plays well for Belgium. And he's he's a good player. But I do like the Mexican that they bought from PSV, Chucky Lozano. That boy is very, very good. And
let me tell you, Mexico, and the next World Cup, my friend.
I can't wait for the next Mexico-USA game. They're gonna spank us.
Mexico-Jamaica game is gonna be good too, guys. Let's not.
Ryan Neves
True,
is the number 9 for the Wolves.
True.
He's a Mexican international. Like
Jimenez.
I'm sorry, Jimenez. Neves is Portuguese. But
yeah.
My question for you is, who do you take in that final? Napoli or Juventus?
So, first of all, I didn't see the Juventus game, and I've been rewinding that red card for like ever since you guys started this conversation. That red card.
Wait. You don't think it's a red card?
He likes it.
It's a strong yellow. It's a strong yellow. I think it's a strong.
M is a kicker. You can't ask M is like
exactly.
But
I think before M continues, I want to hit on that point. I've seen M do that kick and get a yellow card because of the referees before the game.
So you don't want to.
Referees like we have a bond. Go ahead, M. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But before we were talking about La Liga, and we mentioned that Messi is the best player in La Liga. Cristiano Ronaldo was they're arguably two best players in the world. So for me to go against a player that is considered to be the best in the world, I don't think that's a good idea. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick Juventus over Napoli. Napoli, they've come to age, I guess. Well, they've grown in terms of the last time I really heard about them. I'm not as good as you guys in terms of my football history. But when Messi was playing for Napoli, that was the only Messi didn't Maradona. When Maradona was playing for Napoli, and I kind of got a background when I watched that documentary. It was interesting. Then I started following Napoli, but I don't think they're at the level right now where they don't have all the pieces. They don't have enough pieces to beat Juventus in the Coppa Italia.
I'm picking Napoli just because
the underdog, Buzzy. It's like your
But
thing.
this is the thing, and they're really not they're an underdog, but they can actually win a game. They can win that game. They have a chance to win the game. It's not like they're coming in with crazy odds against them. Napoli has been in the Champions League for the last how many years consistently?
They know the manager.
And let's not forget, they have one of the best center back pairings in the world. You know what I'm saying? Led by Koulibaly. You know what I'm saying? So
he's a hot
and to conclude all of that, I think if you saw Juventus play, there's been a discord in their team. They really haven't meshed very well. It's just been that they're more talented than other teams, so they've been winning 1-0, 2-0. But it's not that sorry ball that Juventus is looking for. And there's actually rumors of Sarri getting the sack already. And so, buying players like Ramsey at that level, come on, let's get real, right, Akon? But yeah, so that covers the Italian league. I think they start this weekend as well. Now we're on to a topic that's near and dear to this group, being that we're all of African descent and all black. So the Premier League starts this weekend, and there are rumors, and I think it's actually like concrete like news that the players be wearing Black Lives Matter, where their name would be on their back of the jerseys. So my question, to you is, first, what do you think about that? And then, a attached question to that is, there's been a lot of conversations around not having enough black leaders in football and coaching, more specifically the English Premier League. And so what are your thoughts on, I think, Raheem Sterling mentioned it, Dwight Yorke mentioned it in interviews. What are your thoughts on that? And do they need to do better, considering the fact that 35% of the league is either black or Asian or other descents, but only 5% is coaches in the EPL specifically. So twofold question: what do you think about the Black Lives Matter on the back of the jersey, and more black coaches or even leaders in football?
So to answer your question, the Black Lives Matter, I think that is noble, bold gesture. I think every sport should probably adapt this idea. It's something that is sending a message to racism and people that and hate, basically. That there's no place for it in the sport. I feel like, I don't know, but I have a feeling that there are some players in the Premier League that may be racist, right? But now you have no choice but to support the Black Lives Matter movement. Okay, not even the Black Lives Matter movement, but just you're supporting the Black Lives. Yeah, you're supporting Black Lives Matter movement. Okay, if you don't support that, then you can leave. That is one statement that is a bold statement that I think the NBA should make. That's a bold statement that I think the NFL very importantly should make, because probably 70 to 80% of their players are black. And it may be the same case in the Premier League. So that's good on them. They're making a step in the right direction. But there is also more that they can do. Okay, putting on a shirt is one thing, but actually action speaks louder than words. So there's that. And also, in response to the question that you asked about having leaders, I was thinking about this question when we went live, and we are at a disadvantage. Like black people of color and women have always been in the backseat of everything since the beginning of time, right? So that's why you don't have as many black teachers. You don't have as many black people in politics. Like, we are always second or third. Look at how many black coaches do we have in the NFL? How many women coaches do we have in the Premier League? I mean, like, there's all these hurdles and ladders that we have to climb. And I believe that Dwight Yorke is touching on a good point. But at the same time, there are two sides to the coin, right? How good is Dwight Yorke as a coach? How many because of the cards that we were dealt, it's harder for us to actually be on the level of the white man, right? Which is what we're climbing towards, but it's going to take some time. But we should at least try to give the opportunity to other players. I mean, give the opportunity to people of color, women, to actually get an opportunity to let us give us a chance and then say, okay, it can't be done, as opposed to not giving us a chance at all.
Okay, great points, very positive. Ryan, I want to hit on you because I know you're on it's somewhat similar ideas to M, but our black coaches being given a fair shot, and we need more black leadership roles in every position, right? We're not saying 100% of the positions, but some positions, what do you think they need to do, and do you think it's fair?
So I think, first of all, I'm going to touch on what they maybe need to do. What we need to do is continue to put pressure on them as viewers, as fans. We're the ones, we put money in these guys' pockets. I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy the Black Lives Matter Arsenal jersey, right? So I'm going to put money in Puma's pocket, which will eventually put money in Arsenal's pocket, right? So with that said, we have a voice, right? As fans, we got to continue to put pressure on them. There is not one black coach in the Premier League. There is not one black referee in the Premier League. If you watched Dwight Yorke's entire interview, he said he and this is a guy who has firsthand experience. He's in the locker rooms. He says the only thing he can remember, I believe, was one black massage therapist in the entire backroom staff of all the professional football teams he has ever played with. He didn't just mention Manchester United, so I'm not just trying to throw Manchester United under the bus. So, here in America, I don't know. I'm not on ground zero in England. We're all fans of the English Premier League, but we're not on ground zero. We're not in England. We're here in the United States. But the pressure has been put on the NFL and on the NBA to hire black coaches, black executives, black backroom staff, and we have seen results. And most recently, they have in the NFL, they have adjusted the Rooney Rule so we can continue seeing better results. Because wherever you implement a rule, they'll always find a way around it, right? So if we say, okay, you got to interview a certain amount of black coaches, they'll figure out a way to get around it. So I just think as fans, we have to continue to put pressure on them, have these type of conversations. We need more Dwight Yorkes out there. He can't be the only player, right, who wants to become a manager coming out and saying these things. We need more players coming out and saying, hey, like, I put my resume out there and I didn't even get a call back. I had Sir Alex Ferguson ready to back me, but he didn't get a chance to back me because I didn't get a call back. So we need more Dwight. In my opinion, we need more Dwight Yorkes. We need more guys like us who are fans of that league, having these conversations and putting pressure on these clubs to potentially hire black managers. So for me, I think the Black Lives Matter thing on the back of the jersey is great. It's what's trending right now. We know these clubs are all capitalistic. So whatever's trending, they're going to take advantage. They're going to capitalize on it, right? So they're going to sell a ton of jerseys by putting Black Lives Matter on the back of the jersey. I get it. It brings attention to the topic at hand, which I'm all for. But we need to continue to put pressure on them to see more guys like us in the backroom stuff, not just coaching. Let me see a black guy with a whistle in his mouth. Let me see a black guy putting up the flag. There's a couple women out there throwing up flags, so I'm all for that. I'm all for women's linesmen, whoever. I would love to see a black linesman, a black referee.
I think there was a black ref back in like the early 2000s. I remember like a big bulky black guy. Yeah, I wonder what happened to him, but he was one of the first that I've ever seen. Bazi, and great points, Ryan. I absolutely agree with everything that you said. It's not just coaching. We need it all around football.
Yes,
if we're 30% of the EPL, how are we not, only represented in 5% of the coaching? So Bazi, the FA Ryan hit on the Rooney Rule that they came up with, so it's called BAME. So it's Black Asian, Black Asian ethnic minority, and so the FA said at every youth level there needs to be one black manager at some capacity, right? And they have to adhere to that. So on every tier of the England national team, they either have to interview or hire a black manager, right? And so that seems like it worked, but now they're trying to kind of funnel that to the Premiership. Do you think clubs will take it seriously enough, not just to interview, but hire staff, coaching, whatever it may be, or do you think that's something that is just not going to happen?
I think that they will get as close as possible into getting them into the system, but not to the top. You get what I'm saying? They will get those guys to the assistant coach level. They will get them in the youth system level, but they won't get to the top. And England, just like America, has ways to go when it comes to racism. They have ways to go. And you see how the things are working. And guys like us who are educated and we can think, we're free thinkers, we can see. Now, all of a sudden, everyone is wearing Black Lives Matter. A few months ago, they were calling Raheem Sterling a monkey. You know what I mean? So I feel like, is it genuine, or are they using it to kind of get away from that idea that everybody's been having? You know what I mean? But with what's going on, I'll take it. You know what I mean? Because that's still a positive thing for us to see every single player with Black Lives Matter in their back. That's huge. Germany cannot do that if they wanted to. I'll guarantee you. If they wanted to, they can't do it. It's very hard. Like, that is a big statement to make. Your entire jersey, which used to be your name, is now being replaced by the Black Lives Matter movement. So we're going to see that all game long, every game, every team. You know what I mean? So that is a very, very, very great thing. And to touch on Dwight Yorke, just because you're recommended doesn't mean you will get the job. A recommendation doesn't guarantee you a position. That's one part. The other part to it is Dwight Yorke is right. What he's saying is he doesn't see a lot of black people around, this and that. That's been going on in England for the longest time. But is Dwight Yorke qualified to get a top job? What has he done in the past few years to put him in that position? It's not just enough for Fergie to say, I vouch for this guy. There's a lot into these teams. And we're thinking about, okay, does Dwight Yorke want to coach in the lower leagues? Because if it's in the Premier League, there's a lot going on in the Premier League to get the best guys out there. Now, where are the good black coaches? That's what I want to know. Like, what are they doing? Where are they? What clubs are they coaching? I want to spend this time to actually research and find them. Like Ryan was talking about Hasselbank. I know Paul Ince was coaching. There's a lot of guys out there. So Campbell coaches. I want to go back and look at their resume and see what they've done, see what they've been doing, and see if they're actually qualified for these jobs. And then we can fight for these guys. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we're fighting for them out of the race. Because, yeah, we do want to see black coaches out there, but we also want to see the qualified black coach. We want to
Bazzi, I think, not to cut you off, but in the interview, he was saying, like, guys, they're giving guys chances who don't have much qualifications. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's kind of what he's saying. Who coaches?
Ryan, let's keep it in the Premier League. Let's talk about the Premier League. Let's keep it there. Who are the guys?
Let's be honest here. Whether it's the Premier League or not, because I think he was talking about Aston Villa and he was talking about either Middlesbrough or teams that he played for in the past. So he specifically mentioned two names. What are those names, Ryan?
Who? So you're saying that the Dwight Yorke mentioned two names, like in terms of references?
References. He used
Alex Ferguson.
No, not references. In terms of other managers that haven't had experience that got opportunities, he used Frank Lampard and Stevie G.
Uh-huh. And I can name more. I can name Gary Neville. Like, what has Gary Neville done to coach in La Liga?
Go ahead, Bazzi.
Ryan, what I'm saying is those two guys, okay, including Ryan Giggs also, Those guys have been working on their badges for like the last 7 years.
Yeah, they were in the gigs.
They've been. You don't know what these guys
menu.
been doing. They didn't just stop playing and then get a job.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if you don't know, like if you don't know that, let's say, and I'm not attacking anybody here, I'm just saying, like, if you don't know if he himself has been working on his badges, then we can't just assume that he has no resume, he has no courses, he hasn't taken any classes. See what I'm saying? Like,
all I said was that reference of saying Alex Ferguson wrote him a recommendation is not enough for you to get a job.
Right, but I think what he was saying was, like, he wasn't. Once given an interview, he also had Fergie. That's how I perceived it. He had Ferguson's backing. So, hey, if you interview me, I also have this guy as a reference. You see what I'm saying? He can back me up. He can say that I'm responsible. I came to training. I'm not late. You know what I mean? Those are the kind of things he was saying, that he felt that maybe people had questions about him. He said his manager could give him that type of reference.
This is the thing. This is the thing that I want to kind of put out there. With Steven Gerrard, he's an absolute legend, right? And so him getting a job at the Rangers is because he's Steven Gerrard. And it's more, he retired, 3-4 years ago? So he's very recent. His history is very recent. Frank Lampard is the god of Chelsea. You know, they'll name the stadium Frank Lampard Stadium one day, right? Philip Neville was at he was in some assistant level. He was at Valencia before he got there, and Philip Neville does a lot of commentary that makes it look like he knows what he's talking about. So he's selling that was his sell, right? Giggs was doing a lot of assistant jobs with United. So these situations, I don't think anybody here can sit and argue that a black man is not extremely behind the white man in terms of having opportunities for certain jobs, right? When it comes to leadership roles, we're just not given opportunity. But the guys that he named aren't really guys. There's unique situations within those guys. So if you look at Ashley Cole, for instance, Ashley Cole is coaching the academy at Chelsea, right? So that's a start. Like he's doing that. There's other coaches that are doing that. Vieri did that with Manchester City, and now he's at not Monaco, but Nice. I think he's at Nice. So because we are behind, there's certain things you got to worry. It's a perfect example is Trump being president versus Obama and what he had to do to be president, right? It's just we have a different road that we have to take, unfortunately, and that has to change. So I agree with the point, but I feel like sometimes it could also be taken advantage of when you're not quite qualified to coach a championship team, but you're seeking it out without the qualifications that club is looking for.
Right.
Well, I personally, sorry to cut you off. I'm gonna let you go, M. I personally think that Dwight Yorke was brave. I appreciate him coming out and saying that. We actually had an entire podcast about this topic. So, you know, whether he's qualified or not, I appreciate him coming out and saying that and opening up the conversation so we can move forward and hopefully one day see a guy that looks like us coaching at Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Watford, whoever, you know. So go ahead, Ed.
That is a step in the right direction, I believe. So back to what Bazzi was saying, that Dwight Yorke, I think just the fact that we are not opportunity. If they interview 10 players and out of the 10 player, only one player was black, we're starting somewhere, okay? And then when we get the opportunity, Andy Cole is getting his, he's working on his, you know, like other black players that recently just came out, because I think this is one of those situations where the younger generation is more aware of what's happening and how they can change the world. So Dwight Yorke is one of, I know there's many more Dwight Yorke out in the world back then, but now there's way more Dwight Yorkes. All the names that Nahom just mentioned, 2 years, 3 years, however long it takes for them to actually get the CV where they can walk into a Watford, where they can walk into a Sunderland. They can walk into a Norwich City and be like, look, man, or Leeds, I can take you guys from the championship. I've played in the Premier League. I have this experience. I have the CV. I can take you from the championship up to the Premier League. Or I have the experience. I played in La Liga. You know, like anywhere. Now I think it's the beginning of a beautiful thing. I think 5 years from now, I have hope that we will see somebody black on either the sidelines or as a referee in the Premier League.
Wait,
I mean,
Pep Guardiola
we've
doesn't
seen
count
it
as black?
before. It's not like we haven't seen it. We've seen it. We've had black coaches in the Premier League. They haven't lasted, through performances and whatnot. But again, it comes back to the situation of how many black coaches are there out there really though? In England.
Well, right now in this group chat, there's 3 black coaches. So let me just throw that out there. So right now in our little group chat, there's 3 black coaches. So I don't think we should be asking that question. They're out there.
We're talking about professional coaches, right?
They're out there.
Don't disrespect me. Don't disrespect me.
But go ahead, Bazzi. Get your point.
But in regards to what you're saying, again, Ryan, Nahom, and I, we are heavy in what we do here. We can coach any team we want. That's a different situation. I'm talking about in the Premier League. You're forgetting the fact that it's contradicted. This is the biggest league in the world. You know what I mean? And it sucks because it comes down to it's a racial thing, but I don't see them. I'm just saying I really don't see them. I'm not trying to be.
You're not. In my opinion, I would like for you to see them. So
I would love to too, but I don't, because I remember when Paul Ince came in and coached Blackburn. I remember when Chris Hughton was coaching in the Premier League. So it's not. I've seen black coaches in there, and I remember when they were in there, they weren't. They didn't.
Yeah, and how many times do we need to see Roy Hodgson? Like, how many times can he get fired and come back in the Premier League?
I didn't say.
All right, guys. Point taken, guys. We're running low on time. So
I'm tired of Roy Hodgson.
Before indeed, we need to see more black coaches in the EPL and the Championship and League One, so on and so forth, and La Liga. Point taken from everyone. Great insight on that. All right, guys. Moving on to the EPL, or staying with the EPL. There's some EPL's back. First game's on Wednesday. So I want to get your predictions and why. So we'll start with we'll only mention the big games for the sake of time. Bazzi, Man City versus your beloved Arsenal.
Jesus Christ.
Tell me who will win and what the score will be.
Right now,
I love it.
I'm just going to go straight from the heart. 2-1 Arsenal. Straight from the heart.
What? Let's get it!
You think Arsenal's going to win that game?
Okay, this is why I said straight from the heart, because for the first time in a long time, we have everyone fit. So that's something.
Right, and so does Man City.
That's fine, but for us, hey, we're not worried about you.
Fair enough.
We're worried about me.
Fair enough.
Is that what they say, M? We're not worried about you, but we're worried about me. I'm talking about my team. I don't care about City. Arsenal has everyone. So I feel like if we do what we're supposed to do the right way, not put David Luiz in the game, we might have a chance. You know what I mean?
Oh, David Luiz is starting. 100%.
Blood clot. I know he is, and so is Mustafi. Jesus Christ, help me.
So, M, what Man City, Arsenal, what's your score prediction?
Easily, it's 3-1. There's nothing going on.
3-1 City.
Lacazette is gonna score 1 because his contract is up in the air, so he's gonna play. He's gonna play out of his mind. David Luiz is gonna probably score an own goal. He's either gonna score an own goal or he's gonna be the reason why there's a goal scored. And then probably Kuhn is probably gonna score that one. Yes, Kuhn is definitely gonna have one. And Raheem Sterling, I think the mentality, the aura, like he knows how to play under pressure. So I feel like him speaking out about the Black Lives Matter movement, I'm sure he wants to score a goal so he can make a statement in this game. So there's a lot going on. Pepe still needs time in Arsenal. I don't know how much more time he needs.
Hey, listen, man. I'm going to touch on
guys. Ryan, what's your score prediction?
3-1 City.
3-1.
My score prediction is 2-2. I can't, as much as I love my squad, I can't give us a win. We have not been able to beat City under Pep. Right now we have Pep's apprentice, you know what I'm saying, as our manager. And City is just a better squad than Arsenal. Like, they have better players, more money invested. We have their apprentice as our manager. So there's not a whole lot we have that going for us right now. But, I do believe that if there is a manager that can get us over that city hump that we've been struggling to get over, it would be their former assistant coach. Just mentally, we've had a mental block against City since Pep Guardiola has been there. The last time we played them, I remember last year, 2019, we played them in last season, and that guy the day before said tomorrow against Arsenal, we're going to score sexy goals. And guess what they did?
Scored
sexy goals. So those guys have a certain confidence against Arsenal that I don't know where it comes from, but hopefully, we can get it right. If Ozil plays, if Arteta has the balls to start Ozil, I think we can get a result. So I'm going to go 2-2.
Excellent.
If Ozil plays, I go 3-2.
We'll go M.
Yo.
Friday, the biggest match of the weekend. Friday. Tottenham versus United.
Yeah, that's an easy 2-0 win for Manchester United.
2-0.
2-0 win. Yeah. Dele Alli is not playing because he did the racist thing with the COVID pandemic, so he's out for that game. Pogba is fit. He might not start because so he's been out. Everybody else has been out for 3 months. Pogba's been out for 6 months. You know what I mean? So he might need to work on his fitness here. We have Bruno. Rashford is back.
You know Harry Kane is back, right?
And what is your point?
Okay, no problem.
And Son is back too.
Have you heard? Have you seen Wan-Bissaka? Have you seen Harry Maguire's arm?
Okay, get to Manchester City? Get to your conclusion, Bazzi. Let the guy talk.
Let's go to a fact, Bazzi. Manchester United has not lost a game in the last 11 games. Regardless,
stop coming with this result.
Those games included Manchester City, and those games included Chelsea, and included.
What is your prediction for the game?
My prediction?
Tottenham versus United. At Tottenham, we've seen from the Bundesliga, teams that play at home tend not to do well. So
it's an empty stadium.
Nahum asked me a question. I'm answering Nahum's question. Nahum, my prediction for the game is Harry Kane 3, United 0.
Now you're just speaking. You're speaking from your heart.
Next time, bring players.
Listen, Harry Kane scores when he wants. Anytime he wants.
You're still speaking from your heart. Not your
Brian, what's your score prediction and why?
All right, so you know me, I'm all about storyline, man. So Jose Mourinho returns to Old Trafford, right? I'm going to go
at Tottenham. Manchester United is away. Man is away.
Oh, Manchester United is away. Okay, either way.
But at home.
Either way, there's no fans. Jose Mourinho returns to playing against Manchester United. However you want to look at it. I think the United boys are gonna that played under Mourinho. I think those guys are gonna have an extra bit of motivation to stick it to him. So I'm gonna go 2-0 United.
Figo, you're a good youth, You're well
2-0 United.
Sticking it to Jose.
One thing I will say is Tottenham might not protect the goal, but they can score goals. So 2-0 is a bold statement.
2-0.
All right, moving on to Saturday. Watford versus Leicester. Leicester is 6 points ahead of Chelsea at the third position. Em, what are your predictions on that game?
That's a good one. I'm probably gonna have to go with Leicester. Leicester has all their players healthy. Vardy's gonna be back. Indeedy, like he's shutting everything down in the midfield. So I think Leicester is gonna get the edge 1-0 over Watford.
1-0. Yeah, Maddison has been a player that's been impressing me thus far in the season. He's been rumored to go to United. Bazzi, what's your score prediction on that score?
I agree on paper. Leicester is probably going to take it, but I think it's going to be a good game because Watford is coming off a high with that win from Liverpool, and I think they were playing really good up until the COVID started. With that boy, the winger, that boy is good. What's his name? Sa?
Wait, so
Sa, the kid from
So, but I'm gonna
Senegal.
say, I'm gonna say 2-1 Leicester City.
2-1 Leicester City. Ryan, what are your score predictions?
I'm gonna go 0-0, man. I'm gonna go 0-0. Is Troy Deeney playing? What's he decided to do?
I was about to ask the same thing.
Troy Deeney's back. They had a friendly and he scored.
Did he? So he decided he wants to play football now. Okay, 0-0.
The guy has a newborn son. Like, it's okay to be scared.
It's okay to be curious. Like, he asked the right questions to know what can he
literally
do.
like 3-month-old son.
This guy said that Arsenal doesn't have balls. That guy is not one of my favorite guys on earth.
For the last 12 years, right?
If you say you're not gonna play football because of the pandemic, don't play football because of the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, 0-0. Watford Leicester City. It's a nothing game. I don't think Leicester City is going to finish top 4. I think the pandemic is going to allow some other teams to recover. So 0-0, maybe 1-0 Watford, but Leicester's not winning this match. I don't get time.
I disagree. I think Leicester came out of this healthy. They had a lot of injuries too. I think they might make top 4. That's just my point. All right, we'll move on to Arsenal again. Arsenal versus Brighton. Ryan, what's your prediction?
Arsenal for sure. Healthy Arsenal, healthy Aubameyang, hungry Arteta. We're out there, bro. We're finishing top 4, by the way. Well, top 5. Top 5 gets the Champions League. We're finishing top 5.
Didn't you guys just lose to Brentford? I'm teasing.
Come on, guys.
Bazi,
no teasing the
what's
home.
your prediction? What's your prediction? What's your prediction? Brighton Arsenal.
We're gonna spank them 4-0.
4-0. So surprisingly, Brighton has a very good record against you guys. I don't know if you guys know
great.
that. I think they beat you guys this season. Like,
right now is a pandemic. We're hungry. We're gonna spank them.
Right now, we don't have the treacherous Arsenal fans to turn their backs on us during the game.
Here's
you
the
know
thing.
Brighton, they want to play, right?
So,
we know those
score
guys
prediction.
Play.
I didn't want to make this Arsenal thing.
After Arsenal loses to City, I think they're gonna be really motivated to come out and beat a lower ranked team. So I think they're gonna come out on top on this one. Probably I would say 2-0. It's not gonna be
the Petty King hat goes to Mr. Anthony. All right, going on to 2 big games on Sunday. The big clubs play. Chelsea versus Aston Villa. What are some predictions? M.
Chelsea, Aston Villa. Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. But you guys are gonna be on fire. The signing. I think the fact that you guys got some signings in, it's a little wake up call for some players, and I think you guys are gonna come out and do some damage. I would say 3-0.
3-0. It's 100 games at Chelsea, man. Now you got a nice low budget. Everybody's got a target on their back. Ryan, what's your prediction?
I'm gonna go 1-0 Aston Villa. I'm gonna go a goal from Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish has been living it up during the pandemic. Chelsea players are one of the few guys who haven't been under any pandemic pressure. I haven't heard anything about pay cuts from the Chelsea guys. Those guys are probably going to come in overweight, overconfident, and
because you haven't heard anything. That's how they come in overweight.
Yeah, no pressure, man. Sometimes pressure busts pipes. Chelsea right now, those guys are just. I'm going with Jack Grealish.
They just bought Timo Werner. So how much is that?
No,
he's not playing.
It's
That's
okay.
my point.
It's motivation for Tammy to come in even leaner. Have you seen the guy in practice?
We just gave QPR 7. Don't worry. You know that? Aston Villa, QPR, same thing. Bazi, what's your score prediction?
I'm gonna say
2-1
Chelsea. 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea.
I think it's not gonna be a blowout, just because I feel like Aston Villa is not that bad with Abraham coming back to his old club. It's gonna be a little sentimental, and I think it's gonna be a little bit more tight of a game. John Terry's still there. It's just gonna be a little tighter, but it'll be like maybe 2-1 or so. Chelsea will come out top.
Fair enough. And then last but not least, the Merseyside Derby: Everton versus Liverpool. If I'm not mistaken, can Liverpool clinch the title with this win?
Yeah.
2 more. Is it 2 more
Uh-huh.
games or 1?
I didn't know if it was 2 or 1.
At Goodison, they can clinch it there. Goodison. But
So,
but
Ryan,
it
I
has
mean,
to
Bazzi,
depend
since
on
you're on
other
Bazzi, what's your predictions, buddy?
I'm going to say 3-0 Liverpool.
Even with Iwobi at Everton, come on, dog.
It will be.
Arsenal legend.
It will be at 0 goals this year.
That's hilarious. That's as many as Ozil, isn't it?
Ozil has
Little
one.
banter. Ryan, what are your score predictions? Will Liverpool clinch the title or win the game? What do you think?
Listen, based on the history, like you said, you mentioned the word derby. I don't. One of the most famous Arsenal songs is we did something at White Hart Lane. I don't think the Everton players want to be part of a lifelong Liverpool song. So those guys are not going to let Liverpool make history against them. I'm going to go with 1-0 Everton.
Okay. One thing I would like to add is
2-0.
that Liverpool were able to beat Everton earlier this season in a cup game with their reserves, basically. So it's going to be tough. But Em, what are your score predictions?
Liverpool is going to easily 3-0. I think
I couldn't hear you.
I think Bazzi was right on saying that it would end up a 3-0 win. These guys they're determined more than anybody to finish this season. I think if there's anybody that wants this season to be over and done with, it's everybody in Liverpool. You know what I mean? So they didn't need the quarantine time for motivation. They didn't need any quarantine to get their players healthy. They didn't need anything. Like all they're doing is basically sitting and waiting for a victim because throughout the season, these guys have been good. So 3-0 easily. Everton is going to be hit blindside, a quick knockout blow, and then they're just going to kill the game in the second half.
So what you guys are saying is 35 years, history be made on Sunday. And I'm not completely sure that they win the title, but I want to say that they're going to win the title if they win. Well, fellas, that concludes the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you give us a follow on all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram. We have it, so give us a follow. Our YouTube page, the Soccer Family. We want to get up to we're not greedy, like 50 to 100 likes. So give it a follow, give it a like. Outside of that, thank you very much, and
For sure.
we'll see you next week, fellas. Cheers. And start.
All right, brothers, take it easy.
Next week.
Yeah,
And start
Arsenal
recording.
all day, every day.